Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and in just a short few weeks, Dragonflight is about to get its final major content update, with Season 4 arriving on April the 23rd. Season 4 brings with it a lot of quality of life features, from a gear vendor for some of the best in slot items, seasonal dungeon changes to reward players for tackling more difficult 5-man content, a new version of Awakened rating system, but also updated gear increases to all of the world content found around the Dragon Isles, and so much more. And the best part is the excitement doesn't stop with Season 4, as we might actually be able to get our very first glimpse of the next WoW expansion much sooner than most of us expected, with the War Within Alpha launching rather soon. But also, we got additional data mining content for us to go over, which suggests that patch 10.7, the very final update of Dragonflight, might be incredible. Even as Dragonflight is moving into its twilight years, the expansion still has so much more to give, and I wanted to go over all of the potential content the players can look forward to in the near future. But right before that, most of you guys watching these kind of videos are still not subscribed. However, the more of you remind, the more of you do, so let's keep it going. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell if you're watching these videos anyway. Especially if you want to get more regular content regarding Dragonflight patch 10.6, 10.7, Season 4, or any of the future War Within updates. First things first, did you know that the War Within Alpha is fast approaching and could be dropping anywhere between now and 2 weeks from today? Based on the Warcraft 2024 roadmap, the War Within Alpha is set to launch before Season 4. And we finally have the release date of Season 4, since that piece of content will be releasing on April 23rd. This means we'll be finally getting our very first glimpse at the next World of Warcraft expansion. While an alpha is nowhere near the final product, most Blizzard alphas and betas for games have been mostly a complete product, but with bugs and other small issues that need to be ironed out. At the bare minimum, some of the entry zones should be explorable, as well as some of the expansion-specific features, such as dynamic flying, which brings the dragon riding system to other mounts in the game besides just dragons. The alt-friendly system of warbands, which a lot of players are excited for, as our alts will finally be able to share a variety of items, from currencies, bank slots, and even transmogs that you collect within dungeons and raids. But we also have a fourth pillar of endgame progression, which is delves, which is going to be how most open world players will be able to obtain some of the better endgame items. Then we have the new expansion on the class system in the form of hero talents, which are kind of like subspecs for every single spec in the game, which add additional new talents that help synergize with already existing builds and help build our playstyles in a very specific direction. Additionally, we've seen Blizzard recently ramping up their hero talent previews and overviews, showcasing more and more of them with every single week, with the last update giving us the most amount of hero talents in a single drop, which was a lot to go over. Besides this, they've also been a little bit quicker to communicate with us regarding the development of hero talents at the very least specifically, whether they're going to be redesigning them, such as in the case of the Oracle Priest, but also the warrior hero talents like the Slayer and the Demolisher, and how some of those abilities and procs are going to function when it comes to actual gameplay. Overall, safe to say I'm very excited to see what the War Within Alpha is going to bring with us, and I cannot wait to hopefully be one of the first few players to dive into the new developmental build of the next expansion to show it off to you guys as soon as possible. But besides the War Within, we also have the Season 4 content, which is being released very soon, which means that the patch 10.7 will be coming up on the PTR shortly. And unlike the patch 10.6, which was super secretive, 10.7 should be a lot more public for us to be able to get a glimpse at some of the content and features arriving with a very final bit of content that is available for the Dragonflight expansion. And 10.7 on paper has a lot of awesome stuff in it, from a Harbinger questline where we'll be able to get into more details behind this mysterious Harbinger character. 10.7 is also going to bring with it heritage armor sets for trolls as well as Draenei, which is always awesome to see, as it seems like every time they add new heritage armor sets, they keep upping the ante, making them look even better with every single update. Hopefully this change also brings with it some more customization options for trolls and Draenei, because those are always requested by the community. 10.7 is also going to feature additional holiday events and updates, which is fairly standard for most patch updates, but also we got a new experimental bit of content called Time Running Pandemonium. But the question is, what is exactly Time Running Pandemonium? At first, a lot of players thought that potentially it was a play on words between time walking and time running, maybe running signifying that it's some kind of a timed mode or one that is focused on speed of completion, or maybe it's a question of scale, whereas time walking has us deal with singular instances such as one singular raid or one singular dungeon. Maybe time running will be on a much bigger scale. And it looks like, based on the comments from WoW's current executive producer Holly Longdale, it does seem that it's going to be bigger than just time walking raids. In fact, she recently was able to share a little bit more information regarding Pandemonium, not a lot, but from her post we do know that it's going to be an experimental bit of new WoW content, very similar in the same vein as Plunderstorm. By this, I don't mean that we're getting another Battle Royale experience, but rather it's a new way of exploring and playing World of Warcraft that isn't like the traditional leveling, questing, dungeons, or raiding. From that post, we also do know that it's going to be a PvE specific experience, unlike Plunderstorm, which gives us a bit of a new framework to work with when it comes to making our guesses as to what Pandemonium might be. And right now, there are currently 3 major guesses as to what time running Pandemonium might end up being. The very first clue that we have to go off of when it comes to trying to guess what this mode may be is some data mined patch 10.25 storylines, which were discovered some time ago. These storylines are marked as Pandaria Time Walking seasonal storylines, and they have associated buffs and debuffs to go with them, making it sound like some new type of seasonal content. Most of these are marked as main storylines for the expansion of Mr. Pandaria specifically. This includes the original questlines from MOP, where Horde and Alliance both get to discover this hidden continent for the very first time, restoring all of the original quests that go with that update. Then later we'll be able to establish the Horde and the Alliance fortresses in Krasarang Wilds, the Divine Bell storyline that came after, the Thunder King storyline, and then everything that led up to the revolution and the siege of Orgrimmar against Garrosh himself. All original storylines restored back to their playable experiences. So in one scenario, time running might be a new way to explore an entire expansion, and not only through its raids and dungeons, but also through the storylines which make up the entire experience. This also offers players that missed out on Pandaria a way to re-experience that expansion story in full all over again, rather than reading about certain details from patch updates within WoW's wikis or by watching WoW lore videos. Some of these story questlines also had us delve into old raids and dungeons to tie the storylines and questlines together, and while that is something that is technically doable right now, the experience of those instances isn't quite the same, and I wonder if they could potentially use the follower dungeon technology to give players a little bit better pacing inside of these instances also. If this meant to be a seasonal time walking or time running activity, this likely means that there will be additional time running seasons at some point in the future, which could allow players to experience original storylines of other expansions in the very same way. Now, another breadcrumb that we can also follow is the inclusion of some time running gear, which was added a while back into the game's files, but so far they haven't done anything with these pieces of armor. Time running gear is simple Pandaren questing gear in appearance, but with a different name, and all of these items are acquirable by characters starting at level 10. Most of these items are also not statted like normal items, but instead come with gem slots, and these gem slots can then be filled with the usual haste, mastery, crit, and versatility gems, but also data mined time runners gems, like the time runners emerald, a gem which increases the power of the socketed item while also boosting the character's health regeneration. Then we have this new upgraded version of time runners gear, which has additional bonuses, such as the Passion Silk Vestments Cloth chest item, which provides you with some armor and some stamina. But it also comes with an additional effect, giving you the ability to transform into the avatar of Chi-Ji, the Red Crane. Transforming into the Celestial will increase your movement speed and will grant you the use of 3 new abilities, Searing Beak, Fan the Flames, and Firestorm for 45 seconds. And some of the Crane's abilities also seem to buff allies around you, as can be seen with the Searing Beak ability that provides allies Hope's Flame buff. This tells us a couple of things. One, this is a very super wacky ability, and this definitely fits into this experimental category of whatever we may do with this. But two, is that these abilities cause you to heal allies while damaging enemies, which makes me think that they'll be part of some sort of a big group activity, meaning that this new PvE mode is going to be team-based rather than solo-based. Altogether, this set of data mined trails suggests that time running Pandemonium is going to be some kind of an event that allows you to use new experimental gear, items, and consumables starting at level 10, which may have us crafting brand new characters for this experience, kind of like how we do right now with Plunderstorm. Based on all found items, we also see that players will likely be able to do this activity together as a group to complete a variety of different goals, such as defeating monsters or even bosses. It could be that we might be placed in a zone to scour for these items, kind of like you do with Plunderstorm, where you drop in, get as many powers as you can to boost yourself up, and then start fighting players and elites alike to power yourself further. But so far, nothing from data mining has suggested what kind of threats we'll be facing with these kind of items. As in, it's possible that maybe this will be a dire scenario where players drop in to face against massive waves of enemy foes and bosses and need to go scrounge for as much power to be able to combat the threat. Or maybe this will be more of a relaxed environment instead, that focuses on exploration and world interaction rather than specifically solely focusing on fighting bosses, though combat will likely be a big portion of this experience. Now, the last possibility was data mined a while ago, and some players were able to find new strings within WoW files suggesting that a Vampire Survivors type of mode might be coming to World of Warcraft. But to better explain what this mode may look like, we first have to go over really quickly what Vampire Survivors is. It's rather a difficult game to define, but some of these words may apply. Some would describe it as a gothic casual roguelite game. Others would describe it as a bullet hell survival game or a bullet haven. Basically, it's a game where you walk around picking up powers which fire off automatically in various directions, and you use these powers to slay foes all around you, picking up experience as well as random powers from random pickups on the floor. Slaying elite monsters and leveling up also allows you to gain additional powers. Stacking a singular power causes it to be stronger and stronger, and eventually causes it to evolve. And sometimes you can combine two powers together to make him evolve into an entirely new combo. Also, this game has a killer soundtrack that's definitely worth listening to. So altogether, it is possible that this new mode for World of Warcraft, this time running Pandemonium, could be this Vampire Survivor mode but in WoW, which would make it more in line with Plunderstorm. As with Plunder, we do get to use abilities that are very much wildly different than what we would normally play in WoW. And it's possible that they could build up on the basics of the abilities and the uses that they created in Plunderstorm to create and repurpose them for a more PvE audience, allowing you to fight alongside other players and obliterating multiple numbers of increasing foes in a spectacular fashion. And it's also possible that the data mined items we took a look at earlier might be part of this Vampire Survivors mode, although out of all three guesses so far, I do feel like this one is a bit of a 50-50 for me. On one hand, this sounds so experimental and somewhat similar to the way we play Plunderstorm that I think WoW could easily embrace this kind of a mode. We've seen some wacky combinations when it comes to powers and abilities combined together in things like Torghast, and I think this would be simply an evolution of how we played Torghast back in Shadowlands in some form or way. However, I'm not quite sure that Pandaria is a required setting for this mode, since technically you could use this type of a game mode with any expansion settings, like fighting hordes of undead in front of ICC for Wrath of Lich King, or fighting off a demonic invasion while defending the portal in the Blasted Lands, or any of the other number expansions. You don't necessarily have to have it tied to Pandaria. So when it comes to adding additional content to World of Warcraft, such as this type of experimental mode, I could totally see them doing it at some point in the future, but I don't know if Pandaria is a required setting necessarily for this type of a mode, which makes this potential game mode I feel a little bit less likely, since the name of this new game mode does emphasize Pandaria in the Pandemonium. But for now, that's going to be my update regarding the War Within Alpha, which is coming out very soon, as well as some of the speculations behind the patch 10.27. I want to thank all of you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope all of you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I definitely want to hear from you guys what do you think about some of the theories behind what 10.27 running Pandemonium is going to be. Do you think it's going to be some kind of a seasonal time-walking storyline event, or some kind of a time-running gear-based power progression PvE mode similar to Plunderstorm, or do you think WoW is about to get its own version of the Vampire Survivors game mode? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. As per usual, if you guys enjoyed this video or found it informative, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. And as always, in the description of every single video and live stream, we have a link to our Discord community channel. Probably the best place to reach out to me directly in case you want to let me know what you thought about this video or hang out with the rest of the community to discuss some of the upcoming changes. join our Discord to become part of the community. But otherwise, thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know all of your thoughts down below, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.